We will now proceed for the roundtable discussions. I would like to invite Dr. Subbarao Pavuluri.
Sorry, there is no break. We are straight away heading to the final end of the day, the industry roundtable. Please stay, and Usher, please go out and tell everybody that the last closing session is on. This closing session is a free flow of discussion. This is a session which is kept. There is no set agenda. We would like to also take some of your questions, because I know there are these sessions which we have learned there are truly packed and back to back, and audience didn't get a chance, participants didn't get a chance to make a questions or make their observation. So I believe this session, which is a closing session, roundtable, industry roundtable, will definitely touch upon. I'll request Dr. Subbarao to please join on dais. Ambassador Sood, if you kindly join, and General Pannu, please come and join on dais. I'll request to just go out and tell. Ashar may kindly go out, tell everybody that this is the last session of the day. Please join. Sir, to answer your question, start with that, and see, you very rightly said, sir, Jalpanu, you rightly said that there is what government has to do for building of the testing facilities, and also the electronics you have touched upon. That's a very important aspect. As far as the facilities are concerned, there are facilities. First of all, ISRO has opened up the facilities for the private sector. The InSpace is building up the facilities which can be used by the private sector. And recently, the Ahmedabad is opening up a center which is a space park, which Gujarat government itself is spending a lot of money building of the tested facilities, so which can be used by private sector. And similarly, Karnataka is also spending a lot of money on that. SIA-INDIA and Karnataka government has opened up a center for excellence for space tech. That space tech itself will allow a incubation facility and also a lot of testing facility from the private sectors. Another technology which has got testing facility which is made available for the private sector, the startup to use. So I think that we are definitely taken up your point. I think you have good suggestion which is already getting implemented. So friend, Ambassador Sood, please join on. No discussion, please, behind. Please be seated. So this is the session which I saw. This is the free flow of thoughts, and we like to take any question from the audience. And we have expert Dr. Subbarao here, General Pannu is here, Ambassador Rakesh Sood is here, and we will try to answer as much as possible from any specific you have. So we like to mention about the InSpace. There, some of them you already there in the 10th Industry Connect meeting organized by InSpace on 10th or 11th of June at Ahmedabad. This was basically focused to hear about the industry, what exactly the industry is looking for, what are the key asks for the industry, for the government, which I think there are 20 agenda points have come out, which Chairman Goenka has addressed this morning. There's some of them which are directly under purview of InSpace that has been taken for implementation. I think this is a good beginning. And thus, those who are not in the prerogative of the InSpace, that will be that the department and the ministries are involved, where InSpace is taking very proactively and also taking up this case. For example, single window clearance, number of ministries are involved to getting licenses and other stuff. So you have to go to one ministry to other to get it. So I think the InSpace have to work with the all other line ministry, so at least the single window can be made available. Another aspect which has come about the investment part and the insurance. The investments, of course, investment is required. The government is putting up the huge investment in terms of the RDI, in terms of the 1,000 crore investment which is through SIDBI, which is being distributed. There are already 3-4 recipients for that. And also the technology adoption fund, which is 30,000 crore, which is basically made available for that. Then there was SIA-INDIA has very well proactively worked during the discussion, and we have also given a number of suggestions, and very glad to inform that these suggestions are been taken on board and they are taken by. So while I'm addressing, if you have any questions in your mind, please raise your hand and identify yourself, so we will try to answer those questions. And it could be on any of the subject which you have thought that it should be located. So we also have an expert within us who was not on dais but is off dais, Colonel Manik. So he's also expert, and he's for the defense procurement. He has been involved lately, and he's also can be used as an observer, and he can also respond to. So without that, I will just touch upon. I'll ask start with General Padu. That what are the key things which SIA is thinking to enable industry in terms of getting into on board for the defense requirement? If you can just touch upon that, and so at least the audience can. Of course, tomorrow we have a defense, about 6-7 defense session, which you can listen more detailedly. But I think General Pandu can give you the overall perspective in terms of how the defense is enabling industry to come forward and try to provide their solution. Over to you, General Pandu.
Thank you, Anil. First and foremost is that we know that India did not have any defense space as a sector of discussion, consideration, or even orientation. The defense space is something which we started thinking about post-2000. And it did not happen immediately. We did not have communication, we did not have ISR, we did not have the PNT. So first and foremost was that to build these three elements of communication, ISR and PNT. And you know, as far as the communication is concerned, the Navy got its Rukmini satellite, and then the Air Force got its Angry Bird, and Army is not yet having their own satellite for communication. So that is, when we talk about SATCOM, really speaking, it is satellite communication. And these two satellites are obviously in geo, it means they're sovereign. But over a period of time, we have realized that communication has undergone a change. That it is not the communication which is sovereign. We have seen that technology has brought the orbits down to LEO. And we understand that now we are onto broadband communication. It means huge amount of data can be processed much faster because the latency is less. The ISR is better because earlier we have known in the SBS programs, when you talk about the surveillance, that we had SBS1 program, SBS2, and now we are going to SBS3 program with 52 satellites. So before the SBS3, willy-nilly, we are talking about only 9 defense satellites in a nation. It means some amount of ISR and some amount of communication, and no PNT because, well, NAVIC did come up, but NAVIC could not be utilized for military purposes or for any other purpose because the way it is today, with 3 satellites working. As far as industry is concerned, the requirement is that we are going to look at terabytes worth of data to run some 1 million devices per square kilometer. In the digital, autonomous, future employment of forces, we are not looking at the wars being fought in the past. The future wars are not in the hands of the warrior who has the experience of the past. Actually, future wars are going to be in the hands of people who are innovating. because the innovation is the one which is getting the edge over the adversary, because faster you can innovate, better you're in technology, you own the technology, and you give it to the forces will utilize the technology. So really speaking, if the military is to take a lead or the industry is to take a lead, the industry always looks at the military that you tell us exactly what is required. And it is unfortunate that military also looks at the industry, what are you capable of doing? So that we can create something out of your capability. So this has become little bit of egg and chicken kind of a process, that the industry cannot say what we can do, and military doesn't know what it needs. So that is where cross-pollination is required, that people of the industry, people of the defense, people of diplomatic community, because after all, space is a global common. The moment you are throwing a satellite into the space, the industry would look at global business. And if you're not going to be able to do global business, you're not going to be able to make money. If you're not going to be able to make money, you will not be able to put money in the research and development. And if you can't do that, you will not even have money to build infrastructure and manufacturing facilities. So your research and development, your designing, your manufacturing, all has to go into a direction. And looking at government funding is a problem, for the simple reason that the program, for example, Manik is sitting here, and I will ask him to explain what is the IDEX program. In the IDEX program, you can participate in a challenge. In the IDEX program, you can actually have a solution and offer a solution. If the industry has a solution, you can come up with a solution. So through Make One, Make Two, and all that story, Make in India and indigenization and all. So today, I think the industry needs to have some of the military advisors along with them to be able to take them to the IDEX as to what the military could require, and now you make something which is acceptable to the military in the IDEX program. Similarly, as far as Army is concerned, we have the technology capability roadmaps which are coming up. If you read the technology capability roadmap, all that is for the space. For the first time in 2025, it has been put down exactly what the military is looking for as far as the space is concerned. And you look at that and start making some headway in that and process it back to the design bureaus, or you put it in the IDEX. So here what we are talking about, what capability and capacities you want to create, what capability that you possess. I think we need to create a synergy. And I think Ambassador Sood will be the best person to tell us how to handle the processes of ITU. If you don't have the satellites that you're going to manufacture, how are you going to ask for ITU filing? And if you don't ask for ITU filing, can you manufacture a satellite and then look for somebody should have given you a hand-holding for ITU? Second thing is, through the diplomatic channels, can we not have the space industry look at businesses outside the world as far as commercial application is concerned? Let me make an assumption that 100% of the industry is sitting here. I know it is not so. If you can raise your hands and tell us how many of you in the space industry are doing global business. And then you're doing global business. Oh, no. I'm not talking about the foreign companies coming to India. That is, of course, hall is going to be full of this. I'm talking about Indian company picking up contracts outside. Pure Indian technology, pure Indian companies sending solutions outside. If you can raise your hands, I'll be very happy to ask you to say, what are you making, what are you selling, who's buying it at what cost, or whatever you can talk about. Did you raise your hand for that purpose? Can you please explain, how did you manage foreign exports?
Thank you so much. My name is Abdul. I'm head business development at Azista Space. We are into satellite mass manufacturing. We also support Indian ecosystem, as well as we are doing business with a few foreign entities. We build satellites of order 50 kilograms to 450 kilograms. We also help startups, others to build their CubeSats. We are doing a business in Australia, building CubeSats and exporting components of satellite like reaction wheels.
Okay, I'll just check you here.
Right.
Are you exporting services?
Yes.
Please talk about that.
We are exporting services on the testing sides of testings, environmental testings.
You see, when I say services, it means, are you delivering communication services? Are you delivering ISR?
No.
Are you giving PNT services? These are the kind of services I'm talking about. Sending manpower across, or training somebody across, or making components for somebody else, because ultimately, if you're going to make components for somebody else, the product is not yours. The product will be made somewhere else and brought back to India. There is a subtle difference between doing an export of services, that you have a complete set of all the three streams, and then you say, I'm in global business. But if you're not, then really, we will not be able to build that kind of a self-sustaining economic model in which our industry is going to progress. Otherwise, what will happen, there is a delta. The delta will be completed by the foreign vendors coming to India and giving you services, and you buy services. Until the time those services are cheaper, you will never have more expensive service which is indigenous, and you will never get a level playing field, because you say, oh, cheap services available from outside, why should I invest in India? So I think this is the kind of discussion which is extremely important. Ambassador Saab, what do you say about it?
So I'll request Ambassador Sood to talk about how, of course, answer what General Pannu said. But at the same time, this conference is also have got a component to how we can build international collaboration, how we can take our industry to the foreign, collaboration and all. This is one of the emphasis. We have 4 sessions which talks about how we can collaborate. I think one of the sessions Ambassador Sood has also chaired. So I think if you can highlight those points, how Indian industry can collaborate, what are there, what are pitfalls in terms of the negotiation, in terms of the various policies, treaties, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know it is the end of a long day, so I'll keep it short and limited to very specific points for whatever it is worth. General Pannu told us that in the defense services, basically space as a defense domain, the services became aware of it only in the current century, which is a fact. It is only Kargil that brought home this importance of ISR and communication and so on. And it is in the Kargil Review Committee that for the first time, the need was felt for the defense services. And even then, it has taken such a long time. I mean, in the Integrated Defense Staff, which you know very well because you headed it, you had a space-related desk, which has now become a defense space agency and so on. But it has taken quite a long time, and he knows that better than anybody else. Now, when we look at industry, I think for a long, long time, ISRO remained, or government through ISRO, remained the sole owner of all space activity. And it is only in the last, say, 5-6 years that we have seen the first shoots, as it were, of a private space sector industry. There were a few startups that began perhaps around 2015-16, but basically it has been during the last 5-6 years that we've seen the creation of InSpace, a space policy being announced, and so on. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the global thing, we are also looking at the fact that we are expected to, the global space economy is expected to cross $1 trillion or thereabouts in the next 4-5 years. Now, and we are looking at our own, if we go by the famous, that study, Ernst & Young, I mean, we are looking at 44 billion by 2032, 2033 kind of thing. Given the ISRO budget, or the Department of Space budget, which has averaged at about 15,000 crores a year for the last 3, 4, 5 years, how we can get to $44 billion space economy is I mean, you require a magic wand. It cannot happen. And that is precisely the compulsion for the private sector in terms of developing its capabilities, demonstrating them, and finding international partners and international markets. Because otherwise, there is no way that we can get to from where we are today of, say, $9 billion space economy to 44 billion over the next 8 years or so. Now, having said that, that is the kind of challenge which the Indian space, private Indian space industry has. In a sense, there is also a parallel challenge for people from government like ISRO and Department of Space and so on, because they have to provide an environment which is enabling and which makes this happen. And I think Anil made this very clear in his opening remarks when he said, what is it that industry wants from government? And you can't be general, you can't just say, oh, please remove all regulation, remove all rules, I mean, because that is not going to help. It has to be a partnership and it has to be specific recommendations, because that's the whole point of a conference like this, where we have the opportunity over multiple sessions to interact with each other and also with different people from academics, from government, from agencies like ISRO and so on, from InSpace, and from defense, and all of that, and from the private sector. So if we can come up with specifics. Now, among those, some of the issues that at least I, in my interactions with people both yesterday and today, have come up with are issues of liability, issues of insurance, issues of finance, seeking access to financing, and as is clear, you can only go abroad with a product to sell, provided you have demonstrated that product at home. Now, what exactly is it that we need for it? I mean, how should InSpace function? How should ISRO function? How should government support you? How should telecom? Or how should defense be forthcoming in terms of provide, by defense I mean Ministry of Defense services as well as Ministry of Defense, in terms of providing you with opportunities for a certain degree of hand-holding. We all know, look, it's a new beginning. So we all know that this is something where we have to share expertise. We have been working in silos because it was essentially a government department. Now that we are moving out, but you are not the only ones. I also deal a lot with nuclear issues. And the same thing you've seen with the new nuclear legislation, the Shanti Act. At one stroke, they have done away with the Atomic Energy Act and the liability law and replaced them with new legislation. So the government wants us to move forward. And here again, in space also, that is the challenge. Insofar as the international environment is concerned, it is both difficult and at the same time open. Why do I say that? I say it is difficult because there is no international cooperation that is likely in the field of space in coming years. The last part of it was the International Space Station. When that ends, we are going to have different countries will have their own space stations. So very little international cooperation. Why is it open? Because that means that there aren't likely to be more international regulations. So therefore, since we will be bound by international regulations, etc., so we have certain limited amount of regulations that exist today, which we obviously will expect our industry also to uphold. But at the same time, I don't think that we are going to get very many more regulations in place because that requires a lot of international cooperation. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing in terms of space, in terms of what it does for challenges of space, the congestedness in space, the space debris issue and things like that, and the technologies that will be developed, is a challenge with which we will all have to face as we become more and more engaged. So I think that is why I say that it is, while it is a challenge, the international environment, it's also a very open environment. So with that, I think I will stop here and back to you, Anil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sood, for giving up that perspective. We have Dr. Subbarao Pavuluri with us, who's not only a president of SIA, he is also a chairman, managing director of Anand Technology, a leading industry, and he also conferred a chancellor of university. So I would like to hear from Dr. Rao what sort of you see as the industry man, and what are the academia and industry could be the partnership. You touched upon into the yesterday session. So what actually your vision is, and what you want to see the India academia and industry collaboration from that point of view?
Anil, that's a very large question you're putting into a simple sentence. Here the point is, we need to know from the industry what is the government can do for you. That is the kind of scenario that we are looking at it. In this scenario, of course, General Ponu Sahab asked something, what are the services? You are not bought services from industry within the country itself. The first and foremost question that anybody would ask you, did you supply to your own industry, to your own government, to your own army, to your air force? That's the question that comes first. So we are not able to do that. See, all of us are kind of in a LKG in schooling. See, the entire thing was only with ISRO, with the government only all along. Now only that you have got the freedom to do something for elsewhere. For doing this activity, the first and foremost thing is the government should buy things from the industry. Is the government ready to do that? Government, Ms. Manik, I think Colonel Manik, he will be able to elaborate further on that. He may be, I think there are various programs where the program requires 100 crores, they give mere amount of 10 crores or something like that, 10% of that. But it does not suffice at all for doing anything on that part. But however, many startup companies, they try to get into that one so that, they can get onto, to get the recognition that, Government of India recognized me, they gave me little funding, this is what you are trying to do. This is not the way of doing things. We have very miserly attitude towards industry. The Government of India has very miserly attitude. I must restate this point. They have very miserly attitude. They don't support the industry at all. They appear to be supporting. See, I always say that, there are two types of things that's bothering India is, one is the Macaulay education, where it says that Indians cannot do anything on that part. The second part is Robert Clive's accounting system. When you say Robert Clive's accounting system, please note, sir, excuse me if I am going overboard. When Robert Clive conquered Bengal, he wanted to take every rupee that from India to London. So he never trusted Indians. So therefore, he created the accounting system in such a way that not even a single rupee is leaked out. Because he wanted to take back everything to London. We have the same accounting system today also in this. Technology will not be developed with this kind of accounting system. So therefore, it is necessary. And what is industry look for? For my little knowledge, I can tell you 2 points immediately on that. One is we have a PLA scheme for mobile services and a lot of other things on that. Do you have a kind of a PLA system for making satellites or launch vehicles, any space products in the country? We don't have that today, right now. We have been requesting the Government of India for a long time. It's not happened so far, number one. Number two, to build a satellite or a constellation of satellites, it costs a lot of money. What is the Government of India doing towards that? We, industry, want very little support. Extend whatever is being given to critical infrastructure in the country, like airports or something very similar to infrastructure, roads, etc., under the PPP model. Suppose Government of India puts in at least 10%, some little money into that. Give us the frequency related whatever information. And buy the services, at least to partly into that. That will suffice. The industry can come forward. Because industry in India, I tell you, we have 140 crore population in this. We have 140 crore population is individual entrepreneurs. They can do a great job. What is required is who will buy the services. If it is the pharmaceutical, make the medicine part of it, there are a lot of patients all around, general patients, they buy the product. But space services, who will buy? Again, government services. See, unfortunately, in the constitution, we put water, land under the government. That's the state government or the central government, whatever that. So you only have to buy that. Are they buying the services? That becomes the problem right now. So like this, very many things. So in order to elicit the information from each one of you, perhaps my suggestion to Anil is, maybe we'll make a format and circulate to everybody. Maybe we can fill up the format and ask, what is that we require from the government? Like this, very many thoughts. I'm sure that you'll be having thoughts on that. So therefore, maybe that might be done on that. So Manik,
Yeah, well taken, Colonel Manik. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Anil. Thank you, Dr. Subbarao, Rajiv. Okay, I'll just tell you the real story, since I was in the Ministry of Defense. And you'll be very surprised to hear what I'm going to tell you, okay? And I would request this should not be put on the social media. Okay, so 75 defense space mission challenges, the real story. भारत के 75 साल 75 missions होने चाहिए. Missions broken into 4, something to make with the bus, something to make the payload. The missions were launched by the Honorable Prime Minister on 22nd October 22 at Gandhinagar. I was present, 5 rows where the Prime Minister was sitting. It's been 4 years, we're at the status. It took us 2 years because we could not say which route to take. Like General Pannu was telling me, there's a Make One route where the Government of India pays 250 crores to a development agency. In DAP 2026, it's come to 400 crores, right? Make Two, which is industry funded. IDEX has got IDEX 1.5 crore challenge, IDEX Prime 10 crores, Aditi 25 crores, right? So 2.5 years तो हमें ये समझने में लग गया कि इसको कहाँ fit करें. When I was in the MOD, and this SIA has got nothing to do with it. It's contemporary other association has got a lot of things to do with this, and to the extent I said, you guys should have resigned professionally, that industry chamber, whatever it is. But anyhow, so that's how the tragedy is. Can you believe it? When I was in the MOD, the Deputy Chief of Air Staff, I think he's the next Air Chief, the present CISC, Air Marshal Ashutosh Dikshit, he facilitated my trip to in space in Ahmedabad. I sat with Dr. Rajiv Jyoti and Air Marshal Khoth, who had just retired, is the director in space. He conducted me there. So after 3.5 hours, I took some delegations of industry boys who were working with the defense industry. So after 3 hours, Dr. Rajiv Jyoti says, "Karna kya hai?" So I told him, Dr. Rajiv Jyoti, you have to tell Somnath ji that if the defense space mission challenges, who was the chair minister at that time, have to move in Bharat, then the ISRO has to muck in with the armed forces. We have a gentleman here who's the director now at XD Links, who was in ISRO that time. So I shot off a lot of mails, trying to get the ecosystem going. And, but unfortunately, the direct Air Force is the arm which is steering. Air Force wants to become an Air Marshal Chaudhary was the Air Chief. He said, Air Force become aerospace power. But do we have officers qualified? Like Dr. Subbarao was talking about the skill sets. Are the officers in the DAD skilled enough to make up PSQRs? There have been instances where I have unilaterally, without the inclusion of the Indian Air Force, done industry interactions. You can, all boys, I've traveled all the length and breadth of the country, all companies you can name, Pixel, Dhruva, Galaxy, Take to Me Space, everybody I've visited, okay? And they're on my WhatsApp group also. General Pannu is also there, Dr. Subbarao is also there. So the point is that it's a failure of the whole ecosystem, as such. We don't have people skilled enough to make the PSQRs. Do we have the standards? Is it a standard organization? Aerospace standards kahan hai? Azista is there, Dr. Brigadier Bhardwaj, I don't know he's here today or not. they gave us a lot of recommendations. I kept saying, let's have a space chapter as the defense acquisition procedure, because space has to be treated differently in a different manner. And I know the boys and girls who are doing a fantastic job in the industry, they feel that defense is not the thing, let's go to the civil route, and when defense minds its fences and all. So that's how it is. And yes, there are funding issues. In fact, with the industry, when I was on MOD, I shot off a mail on 15th May to the Honorable Raksha Rajya Mantri on deep tank funding model. You know, it went to the Defense Secretary, it went to the Secretary DP and the FADS. Then no reply, okay, fine. Then 2 days back, I sent it to the entire service community, IDS, Army, Navy, Air Force Design, General Raj Shukla, and to my, since I'm made Pramanik as my aerospace company, to Admiral Karanbir and General Brar and the others, so do. Because see, deep tech funding, you know, is required, you know, in India. We have to have a TRL-based model. We have compared the models of the various countries. If America can follow DARPA, if Canada, other European countries and all. In fact, we are going to be working with consulting Grey Space. We are signing MOU with them, with Sagar, and Divanshu has been taking a lot of sessions. So actually, the issue is, I say, Dr. Subbarao said about the government. Sorry, I just don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. It's the end user and the industry and the ecosystem which has failed, as far as I'm concerned, because I've had a 360-degree perspective being an end user for 3. The policy is so grappling. You see, DAP 2026, we're talking of TRL levels right from the R5 stage, you know. And we have got 75 defense mission plan challenges. I'm going to do a podcast with General Pannu in August. Space is the power to national security, the pivot to national security. So it's an ecosystem thing which needs to be taken care of. As far as the defense space mission, critical infrastructure in this country is concerned, we have got the talent. We need to have the patient capital to them, right? The government has to take ownership. In closed-door sessions in USI, I have seen, I have recommended this, that government will have to take some ownership of the patient capital, otherwise this may not go, because the investors are looking for a quick buck and they will go. So this is how the defense space, this is the real story which I'm saying, that we really need to work as Team Bharat to get our heads together, and seminars like this not to be done. And for that I must compliment the CI team. I've been watching all this industry chambers for the last 5 years very closely, doing an excellent job, but as far as the defense mission is, I think we really get to our socks. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Manik. For any views from the House? Anybody who wanted to express their views? Yes, Dr. Hegde. She's behind.
See, basically, I feel the problem is when the reforms were introduced, a lot of industries, a lot of startups came up. Everybody got into making straightaway satellites, CubeSats. See, if you introspect what really happened in the last 5 years, more than 60 or 65 CubeSats or small sats have been launched, either by Indian universities or universities and, you know, IITs and things like that, and some of the startups. I don't think a single satellite has worked. Is it not a point to introspect why Indian-made CubeSats or small sats by either private or universities have not worked at all? Show me one single satellite which has worked. Why it has not worked? See, it is like telling something, you know, suppose I am a chef. Now I want to make a dish, okay, culinary delight. Suppose I have to buy a farm, I have to sow the seed, I have to harvest, I have to process. You know, that is the approach our startups are taking. Because somehow we have failed to encourage startups or others, research institutions, whatever, to develop subsystems. See, we should start with subsystems. If you see in the West, you talk to people like Martin Sweeting or anybody, he says, I started with RF systems. Building satellite became incidental, okay? So as they grew. So our guys have straight away jumped into making satellites. Everybody expects, you know, a startup has come and tomorrow they will make a satellite. And they will make business. The government is not becoming anchor customer in India. Okay, some small, that will not help because I think we are somewhere losing out on the fundamental approach to building an ecosystem of private industry to nurture space in India. And not much technology transfer has happened from ISRO. You tell me 5 items where India is part of the global supply chain to make a satellite. We are not existing in the global supply chain of space systems, space components, or space subsystems. So let us address the fundamental issues, Straight away, you need 200 satellites. A couple of days ago, ISRO chairman said, I get a feeling that it is not a promise to industry. It is some kind of hidden, helpless expression. We should have had 250 satellites. We have only 56 satellites. So that means 65 satellites per year has to come out somewhere, either from Indian industry or ISRO. That makes 5 satellites should come out every month in the next 3 years if we have to have 250 satellites. Today, NAVIC constellation is incomplete, ISR is incomplete, and a lot of things are not happening. Not happening, why? I think the fundamental issue should be addressed because we don't have a culture of making subsystems, and if India has to become a manufacturing hub for the space segment as well within India and globally, we should address those fundamental issues, I think.
Can I contribute to this thought, but add a question to it? I'm told that there are space application centers in states. What is the mandate given to a space application center in a state? How are they contributing into the national space ecosystem? And how are they contributing to industries' guidance onto what is to be done? If anybody has experience with the space application centers in the state, 1 or 2, I'd be very happy to see if that ecosystem is working or existing and being helpful.
Well, with the experience of 9 years of heading a space application, a remote sensing application center in Andhra Pradesh, the then combined Andhra Pradesh, I was the CEO and head of the organization. And Dr. Subbarao and me, we were all colleagues. Hegde, Subbarao, me, originally from NRSC. The mandate given to the state remote sensing centers are, now most of them are changing their name to space application centers. It was to address the problems of the state. So initially what we were doing, okay, get the imagery from IRS satellites, map them, provide soil map, land use map, groundwater map, surface water, irrigation, droughts, you name anything which is possible, we were doing it. And it was very well accepted way back in 80s and 90s. Now, as we move forward, the same technologies are available from private sector. A lot of private companies have come up and they are able to address the requirements of the industry and our governments. So it is migrating. I have not seen a single country which is using at least as a remote sensing satellite imagery use outside India this much. Even in US, I've been living in US for the last 28 years. Even in US, this is not the level of utilization of the satellite technology. Except that, okay, we have communication satellites and other things, but if you look into specifically the natural resources mapping, etc. Defense and intelligence, yes, it is a great progress. All of us are also industry, we are thinking about how to address the defense intelligence requirements. So the technology is growing, industry is ready. More than 70% of the small companies which were addressing or serving this industry of remote sensing imagery have vanished. Why? The price is so low, each one is killing others, and there's not enough of projects coming. Earlier, ISRO used to give money to develop the databases, etc. Now that probably is, I don't think it's being done through the industry now. So the funding agencies, let it be government or industry, has vanished. But still, whoever could able to survive is because of the lot of support from the private business to B2B kind of support. That's what is available. So I'm not saying government should do everything, but as I agree with Dr. Subbarao, I will not agree with Colonel who commented it's not same. We have to have both. It's not that government is the only sponsor. It is not only the industry or end users are the sponsors. We have to have both to have a perfect balance of growth of the space technology industry. Thank you.
My short point was that if states have a space application center, are they not generating enough demand for remote sensing? If they're not generating enough demand for the remote sensing, I don't think so that they are interfacing with anybody then. But if they have interfaced with the farmers, if they have interfaced with the disaster management teams of the state, if they have interfaced to bring to fore the delivery of space services, only then they can generate demand and give it to somebody. Is the ISRO right place? I think they should give it to the InSpace now. Hey, listen, I've got a space application center. This is what I need. So somebody who said I need 200 satellites needs to justify why you need 200 satellites, unless the space application centers put together and totaled up the resource required. But do we have to have some model on which to build, but without any model, any structure, we will just keep talking about stuff without the data. So I'm looking at, say, tomorrow, hypothetically, if SIA organizes the conference of all the heads of the space application centers of every state, I think we may be able to lay a benchmark on demands. There's just one method. If we can actually go into non-terrestrial communication and get all those people under the Department of Telecom to TRAI, to whoever, and the space application centers may not be in communication, but we can say, okay, you please take on this responsibility also. Similarly, PNT. So I think that kind of a process, do you think that would work through the Space Application Center conference?
Thank you. Jalapanu, for your thing, just information, InSpace is conducting space application adoption workshop. And they're moving from various states. And there the states itself is involved, that Space Application Center is involved, and they are discussing. And the application which is coming forward is mind-boggling. They are they're discovering the new space application requirement by the states through discussion. I think it's building it. SIA did a study, and we have mapped 56 ministries. What are the space applications for good governance? We have come out more than 300 such applications, which can be used for good governance by the states or the central ministries. So I believe there is something space application, you're right, Space Application Center has been set up, but I think it's not hitting the target. It's there, but it's just doing the thing which is required and mandated to do that. I think still all these ministries are lacking space application. I think if that Pandora box is get open, I think they will get enough job for our startups to work and provide application to them.
Sir.
So
yeah.
So
in my experience, that I have worked on ground in all the 5 southern states, including all the SDMAs and Space Application Center and various other smart city programs and municipal corporations. There's a very bright example of KSRSEC, KSN-DMC, and KGIS. All 3 house very nearby, and since by virtue of KSRSEC being in Bangalore and ISRO headquarters being there, so they have a body known as KGIS. So now what KGIS initially did was, like, if you see all the space application center, they will have certain set of employees. And by virtue of having in government and state government, they cannot go beyond that, beyond X number of employees. Now, if the data sets has to be created, now it's a humongous task of going to various other departments of various other, till the district levels. So what they created is a body of KGIS who had around 300 employees on various other payrolls. And now they went and trained, first they created data sets for, say, forest department.
Can you just spell out KGIS?
Yeah, KGIS.
What exactly is it?
Karnataka GIS.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a body under KSRSEC. So where there are around 300 house employees, and they create data sets for various other government departments, and then they train the government employees or other department employees, and they create a GIS cell. So that's how the forest cell in the forest department and various other institutes which are affiliated with those departments. So that knowledge has gone there. And now if you see that the model is developed in such a vast, and now all those data sets are in silos. When you accumulate the data set as a part of SDI, which is special data infrastructure, so which gives you a very meaningful insights, say, which now the PM Gati Shakti is getting involved. So now if you see that, if you replicate that KGIS model across all the states, and then that data layered in the PM Gati Shakti, you will see that the socio-economic impact will be much greater. And what Anilji was saying, the aspect of good governance, you can backtrack that if this is the X amount of investment which is put in one department, what is the socio-economic impact it's going to create? So basically, if you backtrack the socio-economic impact and then you deploy the budgets, it will give you a great capital productivity. So that's where the industry's role is going to come now.
Thank you, thank you. So,
Anil, can I just ask a question to the industry?
So I think we are, please go ahead.
Every state government can and should, and many of them have a state policy, state space policy. If you put all the state policies together, are they reading as one national space policy equivalent? Second thing is that if Karnataka state geographical information system that you're talking about, can that say, okay, if Karnataka state has this kind of a demand, Karnataka state will have 2 satellites? You can't do that. Should each state say, ek meri, do meri likh lo, and that kind of a thing won't, industry won't. You have to have a common body, maybe like SIA, to aggregate, put all the space policies together, put all the state GIS demands together, build a common mosaic, and say, nationally this is appears that all the states would require this, and then you go give it back to the Space Application Center or the GIS, whatever requirement is to be. What is happening is, we have some data, but we don't have holistic data. And that small data cannot give you a satellite or the requirement of space. You have to have national level data, but also make sure that a satellite on top is not only meant for sovereign use, it can be of global use. Only then can you go into the revenue model. I think we are in this conference, and thank you Anil for organizing this, we have picked up some small things. I think we need to just put them together at the national level, and we will see a larger picture.
Thank you, Jalapadu. So we had 2 sessions. One was the Earth observation, especially talking about what are the applications. And we also had just finished a workshop on PM Gati Shakti. So the PM Gati Shakti has got close to more than 12,000 layers of application, in which they have opened up recently about 600 layers for a private sector to work upon. I think they are going to be open more layers, APIs to work on. So the workshop was basically meant for to address the industry, that how you can be involved with that. A third thing which SIA is doing, that we have a MOU with GEM, government e-market portal. So there also we are working within space to open up, so making it more friendly use, that at least more and more application can be put on GEM portal, so at least people start using it and also provide services. So with that note, I think we have almost come to the close of this session. Unless anybody who wanted to share things, yes, the last, please go ahead, introduce yourself.
My name is Pranav. I have worked with the IT department of a state government, and I have also worked with Space Application Center. As General Pannu highlighted that demand can be created, and you also highlighted that specific 300 use cases geographically which can be catered and revenue can be generated are lying with the user. It can be municipalities, it can be ULBs, it can be agriculture, forestry, and so on, so many departments. As Rao sir has highlighted that funding is not there, and that's the harsh reality. even if you know using satellite images, MCD or a municipal corporation can generate the ROI and they can double the ROI, they are, reluctant that we'll do it, our field inspector will do it. So these three things needs to be combined together and most probably the answer would come.
Thank you very much. The state, the space application adoption workshop is excellently doing this. Thank you very much. So we have now come to the end of the the program, and we will be expecting you to come tomorrow. We'll be starting about 9:30, the third and final day. We have back-to-back session. There are about 6 sessions on defense. So we're looking forward to you tomorrow. And with that, we'll close this session. Let's give a big round of applause to the audience. And